Hello everybody, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Douglas Johnson. I'm a certified yoga teacher, ordained minister, kirtan artist, amongst other things. And today I wanted to share a little bit about and talk a little bit about the easy way versus the hard way. Before I get into the talk, I do want to thank everyone who helps support these talks. So some people are contributing on Patreon monthly. That is a huge help because it allows me to rely on that income monthly. And some of you are making one-time donations, which I appreciate as well. Huge help. And then some of you are liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing on YouTube, which is also a help. So you really do make these talks possible. You are a part of this. So this isn't me doing this. This is really you doing this. So I want to thank you for that. So the easy way versus the hard way. Some of you may already understand this concept, but I think it's very important. I'm sure I've talked about it before, maybe not on this channel or in this sort of online format, but I know I've spoken about it. But I felt like it was time to talk about this again. And what I'm talking about is our idea of how we achieve happiness, how we achieve contentment, how we achieve peace. So there are basically two ways of approaching this. One is the ego's idea. What is the ego's idea of this? Basically, the ego's idea is I arrange the world so it pleases me. I arrange my world so that it pleases me. Now, everyone has a different idea of what this looks like. For some people, it might be world peace, and that's going to be very difficult to achieve. Other people, it might be, well, I just need to be surrounded by people who love and approve of me. That also, as strange as it might sound, can be very difficult to achieve. Even if you manage to surround yourself with people who love and approve of you, what you might find is you don't always feel loved or approved of. This is very, very common. I see it all the time. So, other people, it might be, well, I need to be a success. I need to be number one. I need to be the best at what I do. Whatever it might be. That's sort of the ego narrative. Now, if you're young, if you're healthy, if you have a certain amount of blessings in terms of education, in terms of money, resources, connections, you may be able to, in moments of your life, sort of achieve what seems like ego gratification. But what you'll find is it doesn't last. It's fleeting. Even if it lasts for a year, that's nice, but what are the chances that you are going to be able to control circumstances, people around you, right? What people say about you, what people think about you, what the public thinks and says, what people say behind your back, whatever it is. What are the chances that you're going to be able to maintain control of that for any length of time? Even your own body. What you'll find is when you're young and healthy, it might do what you want it to do. It may be healthy. But as you age, you might find it stops doing what you want it to do. It stops being healthy. It starts creating problems. So control is always an issue. And what the ego wants us to do is to achieve control, absolute control. And then it says, well, then I'll relax, then I'll be happy when I have absolute control. It's impossible. So this is what I call the hard way. It's actually the impossible way. And we could call it the ego way, okay? It's just, it doesn't work is the bottom line. It does not work. And most people go through their whole life trying to make that work, trying to manipulate the world outside. And just so, okay, you need to stop saying that about me. Okay, you need to stop thinking that. You need to stop doing that. These people need to stop this. Those people need to stop that. It's an impossible task. If you don't believe me, try it. Okay, what you'll find is you're not able to achieve those results, not for a lasting amount of time, not for any lasting time. And when we talk about spirituality, we're talking about that which is eternal, that which is forever, okay? So, what is the other option? What is the other choice? This is changing ourselves so that we are able to accept the world as it is. You could say forgive the world for its disappointing us, forgiving others for disappointing us, for not being what we think they should be, letting go of these ideas and learning to love things as they are. This is one of Byron Katie's things that she says a lot. I'm a lover of what is. And this is why she has achieved lasting peace, happiness, joy, and contentment. This is why she teaches others how to achieve this, because she doesn't expect the world, other people, or situations to conform to what her egoic expectations are. Instead, she understands that if she believes her ego, if she believes her thoughts, this is what her teaching is all about. This is what she says, I noticed that when I believed my thoughts, I suffered. And I noticed that when I questioned my thoughts, the suffering stopped. So this is in essence what we're talking about. If I believe I lack something or need something other than what is at this moment, then I will suffer. And I'm also believing an untruth, something that is ultimately not true. Okay? And when I talk about ultimate truth, I'm not talking about relative truth. I'm not talking about ego truth. I'm not talking about the temporal. I'm really talking about something that transcends space and time. Okay? So the eternal now is as close as we can get to eternity. And the eternal now, it's always now. It's always the present moment. You never see the future. You never see the past. You never experience it. The past, what we call this past, is just images or ideas that we pull up in the present moment. Same with the future. We have ideas. We have images. We have hopes. We have dreams. But we're experiencing those in the present moment. We never get to experience the future. We only get to experience the present. This actually relates with something I was talking about in class just yesterday, in a live in-person class. And that is expanding our comfort zone. In theory, the spiritual idea, you could say, the ideal, is that we expand our comfort zone so much that there is nothing that disturbs our peace or takes our joy from us. We're so accepting and loving of the world as it is that there's no situation, no person, no place that could take our peace and joy from us. This is what we are striving to do. Have I achieved this? No. Has anyone? I honestly don't know. I think Jesus is a good example of someone who probably either achieved this or came very close. At least the myth is that he was hung on a cross, he was crucified, his own people were requesting that, so he was experiencing a level of rejection that most of us never get to experience. We may have a person or a few people who don't approve of us, but having a whole community, our community, actually say that they want us crucified, they want us killed, that's a whole level of rejection that I hope you never need to experience. But that's what he experienced if we believe the story, okay? Then he was put through excruciating pain. He was tortured, he was hung up, he was left to die. And there's a few moments where you can feel he had a human moment, he had some doubt, but he would come back to not my will, but thy will, okay? So and what did he say? Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Is that what you're saying when you are experiencing your suffering, when you are judging and rejecting the world, people who are doing things you don't approve of, groups of people? And this is rampant in today's world, and I think this is causing a whole new level of suffering for us. So, ideally, with practice, spiritual practice, we're learning to become more loving. And that's not more loving of the people we already love, that's loving of the people who we don't love. It's loving of situations that we don't love. Learning to forgive and accept and really be present with and open to a variety of different situations, whether our ego approves or disapproves. You see, the ego will always give you the narrative. It will keep feeding you the narrative that things are just not how they should be, that they should be different than they are. But what does the ego know, really, truly? Maybe it believes certain things that you were taught in school. Maybe it believes certain things your parents told you. Maybe it just believes certain things that come out of thin air. People shouldn't do this. People shouldn't do that. Again, to go back to Byron Katie's teaching, which is a very powerful teaching, she will take people who say, oh, parents should love their children because the person she's working with maybe didn't feel loved by their parents. And she'll say, is it true? What is the reality of it? Parents don't always love their children. That's the reality of it. That's the harsh truth. And like she says, she's a lover of reality. So what she's trying to do and trying to get people who work with her to do is to learn to love reality as it is. Now we might think, well, if I do that, nothing will ever change and the world will be an awful place. No. That's only coming from an egoic perspective. If you've ever done this work and you've let go of the ego's need for control and to constantly try and arrange the world in a way that pleases it, you find a very different experience of the world, one you couldn't imagine. And this is what we want. We want to find those hidden places where we're still judging, we're still holding on to the idea that reality is not how it should be, that I know better how reality should be. And through spiritual practices, we want to gradually dissolve those ideas. And as we do, we find ourselves in love with reality just as it is. You could say warts and all, but from that perspective, we realize that there aren't warts, that was a distortion of our own perspective, that was created by the egoic perspective. And so I wanted to share this with you in the hopes that it helps you. There's the hard way, which is I need to make $1 million. I need to be a success. I need these people to love me. I need these people to stop polluting the planet or doing whatever it is. I have to arrange the world, and it's exhausting, and it's tiring, and it's stressful. It's not going to work. You're welcome to try. Go right ahead, but it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And then there's the easy way, where I work on myself, and I learn how to become more loving, accepting, and forgiving of myself and of others. These apply both, you could say, inwardly and outwardly. At a certain point, the inner and outward division dissolve, and there really is no inside, outside. But until that happens, we can apply this to self and to other. And by doing that systematically through spiritual practice, we find peace, we find joy, we find contentment, we find what we have always been looking for in trying to arrange the world. This is the irony of this teaching. I kept thinking that if I could just arrange things perfectly, I would experience what I'm experiencing now by letting go of that need, by letting go of trying to control and manage. It really is paradoxical or ironic, but this is the experience of many who've walked this path. And if you're suffering, if you find that the world and people are not up to par, which is easy to believe. Believe me, I know. It's very easy to believe that the world is not good enough. Most people are not good enough. There are problems everywhere that need to be solved. And in a sense, I'm not denying that. On one level, there's truth to that. But is this the level that we want to operate from, that we want to view the world from? If you're on a spiritual path, the answer is no. Quite simply, no. We want to allow ourselves to transcend that view and to begin to see things in a different way. And then, my experience is you actually really, truly help the healing of the world. The healing of the world isn't going to happen from you judging the world and trying to fix it. It's not going to come from you deciding that the world is not good enough as it is, and you molding the world to what you think it should be. But it will come from you forgiving the world, and true forgiveness is a realization that there's nothing to forgive. True forgiveness is a realization that the sin that you thought you saw wasn't really what you thought it was. All right, everyone. I hope this was helpful. If it was, you can help me out by liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing. You could also help out by making a contribution or joining the Patreon community, and links are below. Until next time, namaste, and have a beautiful day.